It's the Go Gopher Podcast with Mike Grimm, episode number 144. I am Mike Grimm, voice of the Golden Gophers, and welcome back to the podcast. We're talking Golden Gopher football once again this week, and we're thrilled to welcome to the Go Gopher Podcast Gopher defensive back Ethan Robinson, who you're going to love hearing from. He came to Minnesota from Bucknell. He's been a major force for this Gopher defense, helping anchor one of the top pass defenses in the nation. It's homecoming week, so everyone's excited, and I'm excited to let Ethan tell his story. Our Go Gopher Podcast is presented by alumni-owned Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. If you're a business founder planning to exit your business, start by contacting Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. Sunbelt serves more businesses up to $5 million in revenue than anyone, and True North M&A serves companies with revenues up to $150 million. Get a confidential, no-cost, no-obligation business valuation started today. Make the most of your life's work. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com or tnma.com today. Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union is also a big sponsor of our Go Gopher Podcast with Mike Grimm. Life math is complicated, and Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union makes it easier with local financial experts available to help in person or virtually. You can go to affinityplus.org/GoGophers for more info. We also want to thank Affinity Plus for sponsoring our player profile segment with today's guest, Ethan Robinson. Ethan will receive a gift card for his appearance, courtesy of Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union. They are the best. Longtime Gopher sports supporter Cub is a proud sponsor of the Go Gopher Podcast. In a hurry? Don't worry, Cub delivers. Get fresh meat, produce, everyday essentials, and more delivered to your door. Cub's the official grocer of the Golden Gophers and proud to support Gopher athletics for over 20 years. We're podcasting episode 144 from the Aquarius Home Services studio. We invite you to subscribe to the Go Gopher Podcast. It's free to do so. You can also go back and listen to previous Go Gopher Podcast. Last episode, for example, we talked with Gopher linebacker Cody Lindenberg of Anoka on his big game at UCLA and the Gopher season in general. He raised the curtain a little bit and gave us some inside scoop. Still quite timely, so go back and have a listen. This week, we're talking Golden Gopher football with Gopher cornerback Ethan Robinson. He'll join me next.
I'm Clay Geary, walk-on turned scholarship wide receiver for Gopher football.
And I'm Ben Utek, U of M alumni, Super Bowl champion, and Tony Dungy Uncommon Award winner.
We understand championship culture, which is why we're part of the True North family of companies.
True North invests in only elite teams, like the champion team at Sunbelt Business Advisors, Minnesota's largest seller of companies. To learn more about True North and our diverse family of independently owned companies, visit TrueNorthEquityPartners.com.
How much can you save when you shop Cub? Let's just say you might need a bigger cart. We've lowered prices so you save more. On Essential every day, it's easy to see the savings. Across the aisles, from pantry products to frozen foods to delicious dairy and more. Your family will love it, guaranteed, or your money back. Shop Cub and save today. My Cub, my way. See store for details.
It's episode 144 of the Go Gopher Podcast. We're talking football this week. Ethan Robinson is one of the playmakers on this very fine Gopher defense. They are amongst the nation's leaders in interceptions and fewest passing yards allowed, and he is a cornerback with a couple of interceptions, a fumble recovery, a forced fumble, and he is getting 1 year here at Minnesota, and we're getting a chance to chat with him and get to know him a little better here as we're 7 games into the season. Ethan, good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
So, transfer from Bucknell. You had a great career at Bucknell. You were all-conference, All-America. What was it that you decided, look, I have 1 year left. I want to go test my talents at the next level up?
I mean, it was always my plan. I mean, I'm pretty sure as every other kid growing up to play at the highest level. That's where you see all the guys get drafted from and things like that. And while it's a possibility to get drafted at the lower level, it's always just, an easier route when you're balling at the top level. And I'm just a competitor at nature since I was young. So just coming off the season I was coming off of and just knowing that I would have opportunities to take advantage of the transfer portal the right way and get to a program where I can achieve those dreams was huge for me. So I just jumped on the opportunity as soon as I could.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you later about that process. Really, I want to eventually I want to take you all the way back to high school, the recruiting process that got you to Bucknell, and then the recruiting process once you enter the portal, and here you are in Minneapolis. But I want to talk about a bunch of other stuff before we get to that, including a bye week, which you guys are just coming off of. You've won 2 in a row, and I suppose there's always a theory, if you've won 2 in a row, do you want to keep rolling and play right away again the next Saturday, or do you want some rest and recuperation and relaxation? And maybe there's a combination of an answer there, but how was the bye week, and would you have preferred to tee it right back up, or were you pretty good getting a week to refresh?
Yeah, I mean, the bye week was great. It was good just to get our legs back under us as a team and just get back to our own, focusing on ourselves and our skills and our techniques and things like that. Obviously, like you said, like there's the mixed feelings on whether you want to keep rolling or whether you want the bye week. But I just feel like it was good for us either way, whether we would have kept rolling or get the bye. We kind of had a front loaded schedule preseason notion wise, and then now the way the season's shaking out, the back half of the schedule is loaded as well. I mean, it's the Big Ten. Yeah. All 18 are 18 dogs, and you gotta be ready to come in each and every Saturday. So I just feel like the bye week couldn't have come at a more perfect time, and I feel like we took advantage of the opportunity real well. Yeah,
just a little over halfway through now at 4-3 overall record, 7 games in, 5 left. Crazy. There's only 2 home games left as we talk. It's Wednesday afternoon, homecoming week here on the U of M campus. Maryland coming to town, second to last home game, and we're not even into November yet. So you're right, that back half of the schedule gets tricky as well because there'll be a few road games. Take us behind the curtain a little, if you would, in terms of the bye week. And we hear it all the time about rest and recuperation. How banged up do you guys get? I mean, obviously there's some guys that just are out because of injury, but you're playing. I mean, I'm guessing you're always playing through something, a nick, a bruise, something or other. And how much does it help just physically to not put your body through maybe a full week of rigors and get a little bit of health there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a gladiator sport. So like, no matter if you play 1 snap or 70, like you come in, you hit somebody, like you're gonna have some type of bruise, some type of soreness. So everybody's hurt in some way, shape, or form. Whether that's a bruise, a little bit tight in this area, or that area, a little bit stiff in this movement or that movement. But we have a great strength staff, so it was just good for us to get around them and just work out the kinks, and our athletic training staff as well. Just get in there, get treatment, hot cups, cold tubs, massages, whatever we need, and then just get with the strength staff on getting back to even levels of making sure we're producing even levels of force on each side of our body with each leg, each arm, and things like that. So it's really like the bye week, you just get back down to the intricate small details that you work all winter and all spring and all fall camp, and now you really just get back to that, which is always nice and refreshing.
I don't know about cold tubs. I don't know if I could get into one. Is it what does that do? I watch you guys do that. You guys hop in this ice. Yeah. What does that do for the body?
I mean, it gets really cold.
I bet.
I can tell you that. But we just do more so like a hot tub, cold tub contrast, and it just tightens and relaxes the muscles from my basic understanding and knowledge of it. I'm more so one of the guys where I trust what's going on around me.
If they say get in the cold tub, you get in the cold tub.
You need to get in the cold tub and it'll help you. I'm going to get in the cold tub and it's going to help me. Because part of the reason I came here is because I trusted the staff and the whole program and what they were doing. Right. So that's more so me. I couldn't really give you the science behind that kind of stuff.
Well, sometimes occasionally I walk by that training room and see you guys in one or the other getting treatment, ankles taped, whatever. Yeah. To me, the best thing about that room is in the hallway they've got those massage chairs. I will occasionally hop in that bad boy. Yeah. And that's a pretty good a pretty good situation.
Yeah, those massage chairs they do some work. They'll get you right for sure.
Daryl Thompson, my broadcast partner, and I on the road trips. We leave on Friday with you guys. Yeah. And so we have to wait. We get an hour between the time we, need to, we watch practice. Mm-hmm. We hit every Friday for a road trip. We hit those massage chairs. That's a great thing,
especially before getting on the plane.
Yeah, it's become a nice little tradition. So, so you're feeling better. I want to take you back, or feeling refreshed. The whole team is. Hopefully some guys that maybe missed some time can come back as well. I want to take you back to the idea of this 2-game winning streak for sure. Mm-hmm. You play in the Rose Bowl Stadium. What was that experience like, knowing that that's a pretty historic venue with a historic field and the mountains in the background, and it wasn't the Rose Bowl, but you're in the Rose Bowl. Was that pretty cool?
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, the best analogy I was using when I was describing it to friends back home and family was I'm from New York, so being able to see like everybody else when they come to town and they're like, oh my gosh, like Empire State Building, this and that, and they're looking around. That's kind of how it was for me at first. And then once you're playing, you get to a point where you're looking around and you're like, was it really that grand? But like it's a great venue and it's an amazing thing. But I definitely felt like that like touristy feel when I first got out there for like pregame warmups and stuff. But once you get the game going, for me personally at least, everything kind of like separates and like
100 yards and you're trying to defend passes, right?
Yeah, that's
exactly. The week before, home game.
Yep.
You guys knock off USC. You in the secondary get the big interception with Coy Parrish to close it out. You were part of that celebration on the field, and then the fans stormed the field.
Yeah.
Had you been part of a game that resulted in a field storming like that before?
No, I always wanted to be a part of one of those. It was a lot more chaotic than I thought it would be, but it was a good chaotic for me. I was really happy.
So you guys are trying to hold them.
Yep.
Take me through the last couple of plays, and then particularly the last one where Coy gets the interception, and then you mentioned it. You thought it was a little more chaotic. So take me inside your mind there as to what all unfolded, how it unfolded. Describe the scene for me.
Yeah. So I mean, like we're getting down there. The game's come down to the last drive. Obviously, we have the like controversial at first, I guess you can say, the little tush push kind of QB sneak. We end up getting the call going our way, which we all felt like, and we all kind of saw it was a touchdown. So now, while everybody else in the stadium's going crazy, the offense is really excited. I mean, on defense, you can only get but so excited because now it's on you. And this is where you want it to be, especially as a defensive back. Like, pressure's always on you. So, especially a team like this with a lot of explosive playmakers on the outside. But it's really all calls and situations that we practice every week. We practice for close games every week, whether we anticipated them to be or not. We always make sure we cover every base. We want to be one of the most educated and disciplined situational football teams. So we go into a bunch of different calls that we always execute every week in practice. And then obviously Wally gets 3-4 huge stops for us. We get the one flag. And now it's another situation where you're looking like, all right, we got to like home back in as a defense. We home back in, and now it comes down to the last play, one that we practice all the time. And it was like, for me personally, I had my man, and as soon as the ball went up, I turned back and looked for it. And then I just saw Coy going up to get it, and I was like, all right, we're good. We're getting out of here.
And Goosby's right there, too, in coverage, too, right?
Yeah, and AG's right there, too. But Coy just elevated over everybody. And once I saw Coy go up, I was like, all right, we're good. We're getting out of here. And then that's when it's our turn to go ahead and celebrate. And then offense, Max goes out there, takes the knee, and it goes crazy.
And all heck breaks loose.
Yeah, it goes crazy.
So were you in the mass of humanity once the field rush hit, or did you get off the field before that?
No, I ran to where we made the play in the end zone at first, because I was like giving like cheering, like celebrating with the offense and stuff. And then my family and some of my cousins were there, and they were sitting in the family section. So I instantly ran up there and kind of like jumped in the stands and was with them.
Oh man!
And I kind of like watched everything else from the outside, and it was I just know it was chaotic trying to get back to the locker room. But it was a good chaotic. It was nice.
What's that like in a game like that too? You get to go share that moment with your family then.
I mean, it was amazing. They were all really happy for me. I played pretty well personally, and, that's what your family's looking for. And then we played well as a team and ended up winning. So emotions were high. Everybody was happy. Jokes were flying. Like, it was just cool just to celebrate that with them and just, to, embrace them after the game and be around them.
Yeah, and I'm guessing then, as that was your first field storm, was there a moment there where you're like, oh, yeah, this is what I came here for.
Yeah, when I first jumped in the stands with my parents, because like when I was on the field, like you see everybody running on the field, but you don't realize how many people are actually on the field till you kind of like separate yourself. So I kind of had like a semi bird's eye view from being up there, and I was like sitting like on the ledge of like the stands. And I looked, and I was like just smiling, and I was like, yeah, this is special. This is a moment. Yeah. That's one I'll remember forever.
So you mentioned on that, really any drive, but when the game's on the line, fourth quarter, they're in a hurry up. You're trying to keep them out. As a defensive back, you guys are really the last line of defense. Mm-hmm. One slip, a stub of the toe, a double move, whatever. I mean, what's your mindset? Are you nervous? Can you feel butterflies? Do you feel your heart rate pick up? Or are you like, hey, this is what I'm here to do?
Yeah, no, I mean, pressure is earned. So we earn the pressure. We put ourselves in a situation to go win the game, so that you got to embrace it. Anything you earn, you should embrace. And then on top of that, it's just not really any nerves. Like we prepare for it. So whenever you're prepared, you should feel confident in what you're doing, especially if you trust it. And all of our guys on defense and on offense, we trust what we're doing within the system. So it's more so just a thing of based on the situation, obviously, but just keep everything in front. You don't want to like give up a one-shot play to end it all. So keep everything in front, make the tackles, and make them use their system to beat you.
Yeah.
Make their system beat yours. And when you have full faith in your system and you trust your preparation, no system's going to beat yours. So that's kind of how I look at it personally.
You guys, particularly on the back end of that defense, the cornerbacks, the safeties, there's some depth. There's pieces that Corey Heatherman can use. For instance, in that game, Jack Henderson wasn't that involved in the game plan. And then, of course, a week later, he makes the biggest tackle maybe of the night to keep him short of the first down, to force the punt that eventually goes to the game-winning drive for the offense at UCLA. And then Coy comes up with another pick to totally seal it at the end. Yep. Anyway, point being, all these guys. I mean, you and Wally pretty much, have hammered down the sidelines, and then Zaquan Bryan has filled in when Justin was hurt there for a while, and he comes in with you guys on occasion. The safeties, though, especially. I mean, you've got, I'm going to miss people, but you've got Coleman Bryson, you've got Coy Parrish, you've got Kerry Brown when he's healthy, you've got Darius Green when he's healthy, you've got Aiden Gooseby, who we've talked about. Who am I missing? Jack Henderson kind of goes in with the safeties there, I guess. He would count. Bingo McMillan, he had a great game against USC. So how do you guys? I know there's Danny does the safeties. Nick Monroe, I think, right, works with you guys as the corner. So how does that all work? How does it all mix? How much work goes into, and how much do you have to pay attention to who the safeties are, or are you just dialed in on your guy you're covering?
I mean, communication's big in any defense, so you always have to be aware of who you're on the field with. It just and everybody has their own play style. So certain guys play certain ways, and like you got when you're really connected as a team, like how we are, when certain guys are on the field, like you adjust like certain techniques, different things may be called their comfort level, but it's also stuff that you adjust on the sideline. But I just feel like as a whole back end unit, we're really close, because outside of football, like we're all hang out together, we're all involved, whether it's safety or corner. Like, we may be split up for certain meetings or things like that, but we're all one close unit. Like I hang out with Kerry all the time, things like that. So it's just a real good group of guys, real talented group of guys that come together on Saturdays to make things happen.
Yeah, and how important has it been for you, too, as really a one-year guy, right? I mean, really less than a calendar year by the time it's all said and done, probably, to one, take advantage of it and not let the pressure get to you, and, hey, this is the final time. But, two, to build that camaraderie, to put in the effort and make new friends. I mean, that's not the easiest thing to do, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, especially with 1 year left, it's not the easiest thing to do. I mean, anybody that, goes into the transfer portal and they tell you it's not for any, not in a bad way, but quote unquote selfish reasons, it's just lying to you, because everybody wants to play and do their best and put their best foot forward. But one thing that I noticed with Minnesota coming out into the portal was their camaraderie within a team and their connection as a team. And I felt like if I did come here, that I wouldn't be isolated and regulated to myself. So they did a good job of bringing somebody in from the portal. As I'm talking about the players, having somebody come in from the portal and actually just embrace them and make them a part of your team. And then at that point, there's no more selfish motive at all. Everything is for the team. I was probably one of the first people to jump up and get excited when Wally made 4 plays in a row and I didn't get a single target. And it's not just me. The safety room does it every week. They rotate. When you're not on the field, how are you acting? They're the first ones to jump up when Coy makes a play, when another guy makes a play. So that was huge for me, and it really stood out about this program. And I really feel like that's what helped propel us through our beginning of the season and put us in position of where we are now.
Yeah, so maybe it's hard, but maybe it was easy because of the teammates you had. They were saying, hey, come on in, let's make this work, because we all want to get to the same spot.
1,000%.
Right, into the same goal. And with you, when you're out there, you've got the one side, Wally's got the other, so that's a little different than the safeties, because you guys maybe come out if there's a rest or in Wally's case, he missed a couple of games with injury, but you pretty much know, right? For you, you're going to be out there and you've got an assignment. So how comforting, I guess, if that's the right word, is it to know that, okay, this is it. I'm playing. I'm an every down guy, and I've got a job.
I mean, it's comforting, but I wouldn't use that word. I would just say like it's football.
Yeah.
Like once you're in the position now, you just get to play. It's the fun part. Saturdays are the fun part. You put in the work through the week, and then Saturdays you just get to go out there and play carefree football. And then at corner, especially if you make a mistake, you just kind of got to put it to the side and move on to the next play. So it's just fun to get out there every Saturday and play alongside great guys like this each week.
Yeah. What's been your favorite part of being a Gopher so far?
Just honestly, just playing in the games and like the different atmospheres we get to be in. Just being in the Big Ten, top talent, top crowds, top traditions. Probably the most trophy games I think in the country. So every week matters, no matter the record, the score. Every week matters. So it's just always good to know that you're going into an environment every week that's very exciting and. It's a challenge every week, so I enjoy that part of it.
How much do you like the embracing, too, of, I suppose, maybe at this level, there's more maybe film work, more after practice time. PJ talks about the unrequired time. How much of an embracement or how much have you embraced that part of growing your game?
Oh, I mean, I love it. Just being able to watch not only myself, but watch other guys like Wally and stuff like that. I was always told growing up, be a sponge. You can always take all the information you can in, and then whatever you and your collective people you trust decide that you don't like, squeeze it out like a sponge, and you keep all the good stuff. So just being able to watch everybody, good plays, bad plays, my own good plays, my own bad plays in practice and in the games, and then just being able to pull pieces from everybody else's game, whether that's tackling, footwork, things like that, from the film side of it, and then just getting around and getting extra work and actually working on your game with a bunch of different guys that have different skills. You learn stuff. You can learn something from everybody. So I really embrace it, and I really enjoy like getting in and doing a lot of the unrequired work.
A couple of quick plays I want to ask you about specifically. I think back to the Nevada game, right? It was you guys wanted the shutout. Mm-hmm. I think it's Nevada, Rhode Island. Am I getting mixed up? You had the interception in the Nevada game. Yeah,
yes, sir.
I'm losing my. When you get my age, you'll realize that your mind goes fast. But so you want the shutout.
Yeah.
And they hadn't driven much. Rhode Island didn't even drive. It didn't even run a play in your own territory. So you've got a couple of good weeks going. But all of a sudden, they got a little momentum. You pick it off in the end zone to preserve the shutout. Walk me through the play, and then what kind of emotion hits you when you realize, all right, we're going to keep the shutout here.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, personally, I wasn't even like, I was aware, but I wasn't even really thinking about the shutout. I was just like trying to play defense for real. But the play specifically, like we talked about the unrequired. So through film study, we knew that with that certain formation, that when that player was in the slot, he was going to run the slot fade. And then I kind of figured my guy was going to do one of two things. He was either going to run a hitch or run an in. If he ran the in, I wouldn't have been able to position to make the play. But once I felt him break down for the hitch, I kind of knew, and I knew he wasn't getting the ball. So I just spun off. And it's only but so much space down there as you get closer to the red zone. So I knew I would be able to be in a position to either go over the top of it or undercut it to pick it off. So once I sped turn over the top and saw the ball in there, I just went up and grabbed it. And then just after the play, I was just excited to get my first pick for FBS football and being in the Big Ten. So it was nice.
So a bit of a freelance then, but based on, it wasn't just like, hey, willy-nilly, I'm just going to run over there. You've studied it and knew. What's the fine line? Because we always hear defensive guys especially say, do your job, follow your assignment, don't, trust your eyes, all that stuff. Yeah. The fine line between that and, okay, you're seeing something and you trust your eyes. Maybe that isn't even where you're supposed to be on the play. I don't know if it is or not, but you make the play. So how do you walk that tightrope to make sure that you're in the right spot?
Yeah, I feel like that's just a skill that comes with a lot of experience playing the game at any level, and then just time and just watching the game, because you always have to do your job first, which in that play I did. I secured my man. The ball was already thrown. But once you do your job, it's also okay to go be a football player. Yeah. Like you see a lot of times you see it with safeties. Like they'll have a certain responsibility, but they recognize something and they go make a play. So at corner, it's a little bit more rare in terms of just a pass game, but it's just football with anybody. Linebackers do it, D-line does it. Like, do your job and always do your job first. Do your 1/11th, because that's how you win as a team. And then sometimes you just got to go be a football player. I'm thinking,
as I picture it in my mind, your interception at Michigan then a couple of weeks later was a similar play, right? That was not your guy. Yeah, I don't think that's a tight end down the seam.
It was something really like extremely similar, which was funny. What was funny about it when we were watching the film on Sunday. But yeah, it was another one of those like, okay, like you see something happening, something's not right. Somebody's running free, spin off, go make a play. And honestly, when I spun off, I went to go to the man first. I thought the ball was going to be on the line, and then I saw it hanging up in the air, and I went to go get it. Just made a play, played football.
Really turned the game around. I mean, you end up, we don't need to go down the road with the onside kick and the offside and all that, but it flipped the game, right? Yeah. I mean, you make the interception, go down and score. Coy has the punt return, score. All of a sudden, you go from down 24-3 to right in this thing, or 21-3 to right in the ball game. So that has to make you feel good when you're making game-changing plays.
Yeah, I mean, making plays in general makes you feel good, especially winning. So just doing whatever I can to contribute to the team win is how I approach it, and just let the plays come to me. And then when I do get an opportunity to go make a play, I just try to do my best to go make it.
Go get it done for sure. Let me talk about one of our sponsors here quick. It's Affinity Plus. It's your local credit union, proudly serving Minnesota since 1930. If you're a current Gopher student or a proud Gopher alum, that makes you eligible to join this financial that wants to build a meaningful banking relationship and put you first. You can meet with a local employee at any of their branches statewide, including one here right near campus on University in Minneapolis. To learn more and find other ways to connect, visit affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. That's affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. People-centered banking, perfect for Gophers. Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA. They sponsor our player profile, and they have given a gift card, a cash card for Ethan and his appearance here, so we thank Affinity for that. Maryland this weekend, it's homecoming. Yep. Do you feel like, obviously Bucknell is the place you spent 4 years, but do you feel too that you've kind of built that this is your school as well now? Does homecoming have a kick for you here at all?
Yeah, 1,000%. I only did 3 years at Bucknell, so I came over here as a true junior, so I'll end up graduating from here in December. So my degree will be from the University.
You will? Okay.
Yeah, my degree will be from the University of Minnesota, so it's 100% my school.
So this is a true homecoming then in terms of you're going to be an alum and all of those things. Maryland, what do they we're talking Wednesday, so maybe the whole, and I don't want you to give the whole game plan away on the podcast. The coaches would not let me have any more players on, but what do you see from Maryland up to this point as you study them, and what will a few keys be?
Yeah, they're really explosive and talented on the outsides. They're two receivers, number 1 and number 10. I think number 10 is like one of the leaders in receiving yards in the Big Ten right now. He's a real good player, but him and number 1 are both talented. And then even their slot guys, like they're a real talented offense. Quarterback puts the ball in a lot of good spots, and he does a good job of recognizing when it's an opportunity to get out to his playmakers. So we just have to be ready as a secondary and as an entire defense to go make plays on the perimeter and do everything we can to slow them down.
One of the things that I've noticed with this defense that's been good is this complementary football. We often talk about that in the sense that offense helps defense, special teams, all this stuff. But even within the defense, there's some complementary where, maybe the guys force an early pass, which helps someone get an interception, or maybe the defensive line doesn't get the push they want, and you cover an extra 2 seconds, and it's an incomplete or what have you. So sometimes everyone's covering for everybody. In watching Maryland, they get rid of the ball pretty fast, maybe as fast as anyone in the league. So does that change how you play? In terms of maybe as a guy covering receivers, where there won't be maybe the pass rush, so their sack numbers are pretty low just because they're getting rid of the ball pretty quickly.
Personally, as a DB, I don't feel like it changes the way you play. I just feel like, if anything, it means you have to be more disciplined with your eyes, because just in my personal experience, that's like one of those like bite the cheese kind of things. Like they get it out, and then you start creeping up. You're like, all right, I'm gonna get this one. I'm gonna go pick it. And this is what we're talking about, where sometimes you just have to trust your job, because the next thing that'll happen is they'll get it out, and next thing you know, it's a 50-yard bomb over your head. Right. So you just have to be really disciplined in what you do, and you have to understand that, like with teams like this, it's you're not going to make a play every play. Like, get them on the ground, live second down, third down, get them off the field.
Tackling's huge in a game like this, right?
Yeah.
You get them down, 2nd and 6 is better than missed tackle. All of a sudden, it's 1st and 10. Exactly. And you've been a firm tackler. And I've always wondered, too, about nowadays, Darryl Thompson, who I talked about earlier, he was a running back. Mm-hmm. And he always talks about when he was here, late 80s, early 90s, he'd get tackled 15, 20 times in a practice. It was open scrimmage, right? And he's like, nobody tackles. So as in practice, I know you guys go through the circuit, but I'm saying live tackling a teammate doesn't happen very often, a scrimmage here or there. So how do you make sure that you're one of the top tacklers in the conference amongst defensive backs. How do you make sure that that's the case when you don't get a lot of live work that way?
Yeah, I feel like our tackling circuit plays a big role in that. and just sharpening your skills. You got to take stuff like that serious, even though you're tackling like a pad or a dummy. Like, take stuff like that serious. Really drive with the same force you would drive on a person. Take the right angle, the proper angles. I feel like that's really big in tackling. Because like you said, it's not a lot of live reps, so you're not going to get a lot of full speed reps where guys are actually cutting off of you. So just ensuring that you're enacting everything the correct way when you're going through the drill work. That's a great way to keep you sharp throughout the season. You
got to have some courage too, right? To go stick your helmet on somebody. That's a good size.
Yeah, 1,000%. And if you're playing defense, you gotta want to tackle. So.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't want to tackle, unless you're Deion Sanders and you run a 4.2, then you can get away without tackling. But otherwise, you better tackle, right?
Yeah, you got to come up and make some plays.
Well, I mentioned we talk about your recruiting process, so I want to get into that. Take me back to Ionia Prep, right? Mm-hmm. Montgomery, New York is your hometown.
Yes, sir.
How far is that from where you went to high school then?
Like an hour and 15 minutes.
So was that a one-way each day then?
Yes, sir.
So over 2 hours.
Yes, sir.
Take me through, I guess maybe there's some recruitment there too, right?
No, not really.
You just wanted, that's where you went. Take me through that.
Yeah, so my mom, she's a principal down there. She works down there. So when it came time to look for schools, Iona is really known in the area for having a great sports program. And then they're also one of the top academic schools in probably the state, if not, especially in the area. So just when it came to like 7th, 8th grade year, and I knew I wanted to like really take sports serious and like go to high school where I can actually produce. My local high school wasn't really the best option for that in my eyes. So I ended up going down to Iona Prep. And because my mom was already working in the area, it was I just commuted with her for the first couple of years until I was able to drive, and then kind of like slowly worked my way up and gained my parents' trust to drive myself down there my last year. So, yeah, it was great. I love Iona. A lot of great college football alumni right now that are playing and doing their thing. So it was a good experience.
Yeah, and there's another one of your Iona guys on the roster, right?
Yeah, Jalen Hicks. He's a freshman. Yeah, he came in about this time, 3 or 4 years after me, to Iona. He did his thing over there, led them to a state chip, and now he's here.
Here he is. Your mom's a principal at Iona or at a school in the area?
At a school in the area.
Yeah, so that made that a little easier. So how much did she, over the years, emphasize the importance of academics?
Since I started going to school. Academics in the Robinson household is big. Before I got here, I had a 3.5 GPA at Bucknell, so it's one of those things where like you gotta take it serious. And that was one of like the biggest things for me when choosing a school too, was kind of trying the best I could to uphold the same academic standard as Bucknell. Even though it's hard, it's considered one of like, I guess, quote unquote, like baby Ivy League schools.
It's a great school.
So trying to find exactly that would have been hard, but as close to it as possible, and I feel like I did a really good job choosing Minnesota.
Yeah, here you are. All right, so the recruiting process to Bucknell from your high school, take me through that.
So I was a senior COVID year, so the recruiting was kind of slow. We also in New York played our football season in the spring, so where a lot of those college coaches were trying to get like senior year fall tape for like final recruits and final rounds of recruits. We were all in the spring, so I was making Twitter videos with like showcasing broad jump, showcasing drill work and things like that, posting them on Twitter, sending them to different schools. And a lot of the attention I was getting at the time was FCS schools. So I had pretty much every Ivy except for 2, and then I had 2 or 3 Patriot League schools. And then so the Ivies don't offer full scholarships, and it was always my dream to have like my parents not pay for college.
And their dream too, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably. So considering that Bucknell was also up there in terms of academic standards, especially in the Northeast, I definitely took advantage of that, having the full scholarship. So I picked Bucknell over some of the Ivies. I picked them early in my senior year and kind of stuck through my senior year with them, and then we went from there.
Do you think the COVID piece hindered the offer list for you?
Yeah, I think it did.
If you had played in the fall and put good tape down?
I feel like if I put good tape down in the fall and then just had the opportunity, like my junior summer going in the senior year, to go to camps and just showcase what I can actually do, it would have changed a little bit. But I don't really live in the past. I don't know how that's a who, what, if, when kind of question. So I don't know how much it would have changed. I would like to think it would change a whole lot, and I would have been at Alabama or something, but who knows? Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, and so you go to Bucknell, and now you put a really good career together there. 3 years. I was going to say 4. I've forgotten that because you came after COVID, you're just you only get the 4 years. We got guys that have been here 8 years. You get just 4. Justin Wally, same way, 4 years. I'm like, it'd be nice to have you guys back next year. Garrett was already, when I was talking to him today, the general manager, he's like, yeah, we'd love to have Ethan another year, but it's just one of those deals. Yeah. And you're probably looking forward to an opportunity to move on up as well, and a chance to maybe play pro football. So you put 3 years of really good seasons together, developed, and now you decide I've got 1 year left. So take me through the decision, 1, to enter the portal, and then 2, how Minnesota was the ultimate winner in the sweepstakes.
Yeah, so throughout the season, I just kind of focused on what I was doing in the season, like just making sure that I was doing everything I could to help my team win and put us in the best position throughout that season. But we finished up roughly around Thanksgiving weekend, and we finished shy of the playoffs that year. So I just came home for Thanksgiving break, was sitting with my family, and kind of had that talk about what path or process I wanted to take next. They knew, as well as I always knew, that it was my dream to play at the highest level. So it was kind of like a no-brainer. But the biggest piece, like I mentioned before, for both my parents, especially my mom, was just making sure the education piece stayed similar. So I entered the portal, and then fielded dozens of offers, and then from the list, Coach Monroe really stood out to me. Just prior connections to the New York area, he recruited some of the guys at my rival high school at his previous school, and then he had also recruited Sam Madu, who went to my rival high school. We trained together, and then obviously Jalen Hicks, he's a freshman and went to Iona. So there was already some familiarity there, and I knew that if guys that I've been around and hung around and kind of mentored in a sense growing up, if they trusted him, that it would be somebody similar for me to trust. So I really honed in the conversations with Coach Monroe and things like that. And in the end, it just came down to me trusting him, the program. And when I came out on my visit, that just put everything together because I was able to see it with my own eyes in real time. And that's really what brought me here.
Yeah. The swag daddy, right?
Yeah. Swag.
Nick Monroe. He's been on this podcast. I got a kick out of him and his nickname. That's what they call him. So that's what we called him. But he is a pretty high level recruiter. So that's a good connection. And then Andy Greeter from the Pioneer Press here locally, who covers the Gophers, did a little feature story on you, and I noticed your mom had mentioned during the recruiting process that she really liked PJ, but she didn't want to let on that she liked PJ, right? Yeah. She was playing a little hardball with him. Do you remember that? Take me through what you remember about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how my mom is. She's very, when it's serious situations like that, she's very, on the inside, she'll have one reaction, but then she'll just keep it, nice, cool, calm, and collected, just so, you're not tipping any hats or anything like that. But once I committed and she realized that this is where I wanted to go, it completely switched, and then she was all smiling and happy and everything. So my mom's real cool. My dad's real cool about stuff like that.
Yeah. We've talked about your mom as a principal. Your dad is a retired police officer, a big time police officer, right?
Something like that.
He was an investigator, or a
detective.
Detective,
yes,
So what was that like growing up with a dad who was a policeman?
It was cool. I mean, he retired. He was fortunate enough to retire pretty early for me. So he coached me in pretty much everything growing up except for baseball. That one wasn't his thing. But basketball, football were really big for me growing up, and he coached me in both. So just being able to be around him, and he pretty much, the whole work ethic I have now, and the way I approach things, the way I think about sports in general and the game of football kind of came from him, and just working out with him, all coming home from school, homework first, snack, straight to workout, and just kind of doing that every day when I was younger. And then when I went to Iona, just riding back with him, talking about practice, talking about games while I'm doing my homework with a nightlight, things like that. And I loved it. Obviously you have those bumps as a teenager, as a kid, where you're you don't really want to do it. But he always told me you're doing a lot of stuff that a lot of kids aren't, and eventually it'll pay off for you. And here we are today.
Here we are. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. You're driving, you're getting a ride back from your school, doing your homework with a flashlight or a nightlight, and trying to think, is this worth it? And it is.
Yeah.
It turned out that it was. You mentioned the approach there. I would guess with a dad in law enforcement that there was pretty good discipline, right? He was pretty demanding, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty demanding. Both my parents are, but in a good way. Like, everything was more so positive for me growing up. When it was time to like have conversations about mistakes or things like that, like they do a good job of, and they always have, of explaining to you what you did wrong and not just like getting on your case necessarily, because I know sometimes that like can give off the wrong way for certain kids, but they did a good job of making sure that me and my brother understood what we did wrong and why consequences were consequences. But for the most part, I didn't really get in trouble too much as a kid, because I kind of just believed and trusted in for the most part, what they were saying and everything that they were doing. So it was, I love my parents.
Did your brother play sports too?
Yeah, he plays rugby at University of Albany. He's a sophomore over there.
Right. Very good. Rugby. And were your parents athletes? Did they play sports?
Yeah, my mom was All-State North Carolina basketball, volleyball, and then my dad played collegiate basketball at Manhattan College for a little bit.
Oh, wow. Very good. Very good. A couple of other quick things I want to ask you about. The transition from Bucknell to Minnesota, from FCS to FBS. You've had success. Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask it this way. Did it come easier than you thought? Were you up, or did you feel like, hey, I don't have to prove anything because I know that I can play at this level?
I mean, I always knew I could play at this level, but then you obviously hear everybody else talk about the difference. So there was like coming into like my first couple of practices, it was like one of those things where I just had to like see it for myself. So like a couple times I would be hesitant on things, and I'm like, and then there was just one day where I was just like, go out there and just cut it loose. I think it was like my second or third spring ball practice. I was like, I know the calls that we have installed so far. I know what I'm doing now, so just go out there and cut it loose. And then I made like 2 or 3 plays, and then from there on, it was just straight through, just go ahead and fire straight through. Because once you prove it to yourself in anything that you can do it, especially when there are any type of doubts, you're good from there. So it was one of those kind of situations. It happened pretty quickly for me. Yeah,
trust the process and trust your skill set.
Yes, sir.
And the rest is history, as they say. The Gophers are on a nice little roll, 2 wins in a row. We mentioned only 2 home games left. So do you get a sense to look at the big picture, like what you want this team to accomplish from here to the end? And if so, what kind of things have to happen then for this group?
Honestly, take it one game at a time. Tackle the challenge in front of us this week. That's Maryland. Go in there, do what we have to do, take care of business, and come out with a win. And if we attack each week, 1 week at a time, 1-0 championship season mindset at the end will be where we want to be.
Yeah, well, very good. Hey, it's been awesome getting to know you a little better.
Yes, sir,
I know people are going to really enjoy listening to you and getting to know you better as well. And let's go get a homecoming win and have some fun on Saturday.
Yes, sir. See you Saturday. I appreciate it.
There he is, Ethan Robinson. It's episode 144.
My thanks to Gopher football defensive back Ethan Robinson for taking us behind the curtain and into the locker room and sharing a lot of great info on Gopher football. I hope you enjoyed hearing and getting to know him as much as I enjoyed chatting with him. Episode 144 is presented by Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. If you're buying or selling a business, visit sunbeltminnesota.com or tnma.com. We're also partnered with Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union, a locally member-owned full-service financial invested in you. You can learn more at affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. That's affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. They have an award-winning mobile app, so check that out. And Cub is a proud supporter of Gopher Athletics for over 20 years and a proud sponsor of the Go Gopher Podcast with Mike Grimm. Cub, bigger savings on the items you love. Again, I'd invite you to listen to past podcasts, and right now, please click that subscribe button to the Go Gopher Podcast. It's free to subscribe and free to listen at any time. And please share the link to the podcast with others so they can subscribe and listen as well. And if you enjoyed the podcast, please give us some positive feedback on your social media channels. We'll talk again next week.
When we say that Cub milk is the freshest in town, we mean it. Less than 48 hours from farm to store fresh. We guarantee 7 days or more of freshness. It all starts with local dairy farmers who take great care in making sure all the cows are happy and healthy. We support local farm families 365 days a year. And that makes our milk even more delicious. So you always get the freshest milk and the biggest smiles.